Bible in a Year, the Message Version, April 13, Joshua chapter 7, verse 16 through chapter 9, verse 2. Joshua was up at the crack of dawn and called Israel up tribe by tribe. The tribe Judah was singled out. Then he called up the clans and singled out the Zerahites. He called up the Zerahite family and singled out Zabdi family. He called up the family members one by one and singled out Achan, son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah. Joshua spoke to Achan, "My son, give glory to God, the God of Israel. Make your confession to him. Tell me what you did. Don't keep back anything from me." Achan answered Joshua, "It's true, I sinned against God, the God of Israel. This is how I did it. In the plunder I spotted a beautiful Shinar robe, 200 shekels of silver, and 50 shekel bar of gold, and I coveted and took them. They are buried in my tent with the silver at the bottom." Joshua sent off messengers. They ran to the tent, and there it was, buried in the tent with the silver at the bottom. They took the stuff from the tent and brought it to Joshua and to all the people of Israel and spread it out before God. Joshua took Achan, son of Zerah, took the silver, the robe, the gold bar, his sons and daughters, his ox, donkey, sheep, tent, everything connected with him. All Israel was there. They led them off to the valley of Achor, Trouble Valley. Joshua said, "Why have you troubled us? God will now trouble you today." And all Israel stoned him, burned him with fire, and stoned him with stones. They piled a huge pile of stones over him. It's still there. Only then did God turn from his hot anger. That's how the place came to be called Trouble Valley, right up into the present time. God said to Joshua, "Don't be timid and don't so much as hesitate. Take all your soldiers with you and go back to Ai. I have turned the king of Ai over to you, his people, his city, and his land. Do to Ai and its king what you did to the Jericho and its king. Only this time you may plunder its stuff and cattle to your heart's content. Set an ambush behind the city." Joshua and all his soldiers got ready to march on Ai. Joshua chose 30,000 men, tough, seasoned fighters, and sent them off at night with these orders: "Pay me all of your attention now. Lie in ambush behind the city. Get as close as you can. Stay alert. I and the troops will approach the city head on. When they come out to meet us, just as before, we'll turn and run. They'll come after us, leaving the city. As we are off and running, they'll say, 'They're running away, just like the first time.' That's your signal to spring from your ambush and take the city. God, your God, will hand it over to you on a platter. Once you have the city, burn it down. God says you do it. Go to it. I've given you the orders." Joshua sent them off. They set their ambush and waited between Bethel and Ai, just west of Ai. Joshua spent the night with the people. Joshua was up early in the morning and mustered his army. He and the leaders of Israel led the troops to Ai. The whole army, fighting men all, marched right up within sight of the city and set camp on the north side of Ai. There was a valley between them and Ai. He had taken about 5,000 men and put them in ambush between Bethel and Ai, west of the city. They went all deployed, the main army to the north of the city and the ambush to the west. Joshua spent the night in the valley. So it happened that when the king of Ai saw all this, the men of the city lost no time. They were out of there at the crack of dawn to join Israel in battle, the king and his troops at a field en route of Arabah. The king didn't know of the ambush set against him behind the city. Joshua and all Israel let themselves be chased. They ran toward the wilderness. Everybody in the city was called to the chase. They pursued Joshua and were led away from the city. There wasn't a soul left in Ai or Bethel who wasn't out there chasing after Israel. The city was left empty and undefended as they were chasing Israel down. Then God spoke to Joshua, "Stretch out your javelin in your hand toward Ai. I'm giving it to you." Joshua stretched out the javelin in his hand toward Ai. At the signal, the men in ambush sprang to their feet, ran to the city, took it, and quickly had it up in flames. The men of Ai looked back and, saw the city going up in smoke. They found themselves trapped with nowhere to run. The army on the run toward the wilderness did an about face. Joshua and all of Israel, seeing that the ambush had taken the city, saw it going up in smoke, turned and attacked the men of Ai. Then the men in the ambush poured out of the city. The men of Ai were caught in the middle with Israelites on both sides, a real massacre, and not a single survivor, except for the king of Ai. They took him alive and brought him to Joshua. When it was all over, Israel had killed everyone in Ai, whether in the fields or in the wilderness where they had chased them. When the killing was complete, the Israelites returned to Ai and completed the devastation. The death toll that day came to 12,000 men and women, everyone in Ai. Joshua didn't lower his outstretched javelin until the sacred destruction of Ai and all its people was completed. Israel did get to take the livestock and loot and left in the city, so God's instructions to Joshua allowed for that. Joshua burned Ai to the ground, a heap of nothing forever, a no place. Go see for yourself. It hanged the king of Ai from a tree. At evening, the sun going down, Joshua ordered the corpse cut down. They dumped it at the entrance of the city and piled it high with stones. You can go see that also. Then Joshua built an altar to God of Israel on Mount Ebal. He built it following the instructions of Moses, the servant of God, to the people of Israel, and written in the book of Revelation of Moses, an altar of whole stones that hadn't been chiseled or shaped by an iron tool. On it they offered to God whole burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings. He also wrote out a copy of the Revelation of Moses on the stones. He wrote it with the people of Israel looking on. All Israel was there, foreigners and citizens alike, with their elders, officers, and judges standing on opposite sides of the chest, facing the Levitical priests who carry God's covenant chest. Half of the people stood with their backs to Mount Gerizim, and half with their backs to Mount Ebal, to bless the people of Israel, just as Moses, the servant of God, had instructed earlier. After that, he read out everything written in the Revelation, the blessing and the curse, everything in the book of Revelation. There wasn't a word of all that Moses commanded that Joshua didn't read to the entire congregation, men, women, children, and foreigners who had been with them on the journey. All the kings west of the Jordan, in the hills and foothills and along the Mediterranean seacoast, north toward the Lebanon, and the Hittites, the Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, Girgashites, and Jebusites, got the news. They came together in a coalition to fight against Joshua and Israel under a single command. Luke chapter 16, verse 1 through verse 18. Jesus said to his disciples, "There was once a rich man who had a manager. He got reports that the manager had been taking advantage of his position by running up huge personal expenses. So he called him in and said, 'What's this I hear about you? You're fired, and I want a complete audit of your books.' The manager said to himself, 'What am I going to do? I've lost my job as manager. I'm not strong enough for a laboring job, and I'm too proud to beg. I got a plan. Here's what I'll do. Then, when I'm turned out into the street, people will take me into their houses.' Then he went at it. One after another, he called in the people who were in debt to his master. He said to the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' He replied, 100 jugs of olive oil. The manager said, Here, take your bill. Sit down here. Quick now. Write 50. To the next he said, And you, what do you owe? He answered, 100 sacks of wheat. He said, Take your bill. Write in 80. Now, here's a surprise. The master praised the crooked manager. And why? Because he knew how to look after himself. Streetwise people are smarter in this regard than law-abiding citizens. They are on constant alert, looking for angles, surviving by their wits. I want you to be smart in the same way, but what is right? Using every adversary. Use every adversary and adversity to stimulate you to creative survival, to concentrate your attention on the bare essentials so you'll live, really live, and not complacently just get by on good behavior. Jesus went on to make these comments. If you're honest in small things, you'll be honest in big things. If you're a crook in small things, you'll be crook in big things. If you're not honest in small jobs, who will put you in charge of the store? No worker can serve two bosses. You'll either hate the first and love the second, or adore the first and despise the second. You can't serve both God and the bank. When the Pharisees, a money-obsessed bunch, heard him saying these things, they rolled their eyes, dismissing him as hopelessly out of touch. So Jesus spoke to them. You are masters at making yourselves look good in front of others, but God knows what's behind the appearance. What society sees and calls monumental, God sees through and calls monstrous. God's law and the prophets climaxed in John. Now it's all kingdom of God, the glad news and compelling invitation to every man and woman. The sky will disintegrate and the earth dissolve, but a single letter of God's law wears out. Using the legalities of divorce as a cover for lust is idolatry. Using the legalities of marriage as a cover for lust is idolatry. Psalm chapter 82, verse 1 through verse 8. An Asaph psalm. God calls the judges into his courtroom. He puts all the judges in the dock. Enough. Your corrupted justice long enough. You've let the wicked get away with murder. You're here to defend the defenseless, to make sure that underdogs get a fair break. Your job is to stand up for the powerless and prosecute all those who will exploit them. Ignorant judges, head in the sand judges. They haven't a clue to what's going on, and now everything's falling apart. The world's coming unglued. I appointed you judges, each one of you, deputies of the high God. But you've betrayed your commission, and now you're stripped of your rank. Busted. Oh God, give them what they've got coming. You've got the whole world in your hands. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 2 and verse 3. The good acquire a taste for helpful conversation. Bullies push and shove their way through life. Careful words make for a careful life. Careless talk may ruin everything. This was a daily reading from the Message version of the Bible, read to you by Bible in a Day.